Hey, this is Kevin with Moss Pond Guns. I'm the gunsmith up here at the shop. There's been quite a lot of developments in the handgun market of the 5.7x28 cartridge. We have most of them in stock here at the shop. We're just missing one that I would want to talk about, which is the Smith Wesson version. We sell so many of them we can't keep them in. But I'll throw some pictures of it up here in the on the video and you'll see it. There's a new kit on the block that we'll talk about. It's kind of inspired this video. We'll go over the history of the cartridge, its development, its purpose. We'll try to keep it short, 10-15 minutes. So I appreciate you watching and let's get started. For years, the 5.7x28 cartridge has been a niche round, known for its high velocity, low recoil, and armor-piercing potential. First developed by FN for military applications, it was locked into an exclusive world of expensive and limited options until now. What started with the FN 5.7 has grown into a competitive market, with major manufacturers like Ruger, Smith Wesson, and Palmetto State Armory bringing affordable alternatives to the table. But in 2024, Kel-Tec arrived with something entirely new, a 5.7 pistol unlike anything that's been done before. This is the Kel-Tec PR57, and today we're going to break down the history of the 5.7 handguns and how we got here, and why this Kel-Tec is a little bit different than all the other ones. In the late 1980s, NATO needed a replacement for 9mm, something lighter, faster, and capable of penetrating soft body armor. FN answered the call with the 5.7x28 cartridge, a lightweight, high-velocity round designed for their futuristic P90 personal defense weapon. But they needed a sidearm to complement it, so in 1998 they introduced the 5.7, the first ever 5.7 handgun. The FN 5.7 was a game changer at the time. It was lightweight, high capacity, and incredibly accurate, featuring a delayed blowback system and a 20-round magazine. For over 20 years, if you wanted a 5.7 pistol, it was pretty much your only option. But in 2019, things started to change. Ruger took the 5.7 market to the next level with the Ruger 5.7, a striker-fired, optics-ready pistol that came in about half the price of the FN. This pistol opened the floodgates for 5.7x28, proving that the cartridge wasn't just for military and law enforcement anymore. But in 2023, Smith Wesson also entered the game with the M&P 5.7, bringing something totally new, the Tempo barrel system. The two-piece barrel design keeps the inner barrel locked until the bullet exits, reducing recoil and improving accuracy. With a 22-round capacity, optics-ready slide, and a suppressor-ready barrel, the 5.7 took the platform to the next level. And then in typical Palmetto State Armory fashion, they jumped into the market with the PSA Rock, a budget-friendly option featuring a striker-fired design, optics-ready slide, and of course a 23-round magazine because you have to be more than the competition. With a lower price point than the Ruger, the FN, the PSA made the 5.7 handguns more accessible than ever before. And this brings us here. The Kel-Tec PR57 is not like any other 5.7 pistol. Instead of a detachable box magazine, it uses a fixed 20-round magazine that is reloaded using stripper clips. In typical Kel-Tec fashion, they had to do something weird. But instead of a traditional tilting barrel or blowback system, Kel-Tec went with a rotating bolt, kind of like an AR-15. If you look at the front of the barrel, it looks pretty similar. And it's one of the most innovative 5.7 pistols ever made. With the arrival of the Kel-Tec PR57, the 5.7 pistol market has changed forever. Whether you want a classic FN, an affordable Ruger, high-end Smith & Wesson, budget PSA, there's never been a better time to get into the 5.7. So, with the history out of the way and a little bit of the design philosophy and things with the guns, we'll kind of break it down what I think, which isn't worth much. If I'm buying one, it's probably going to be the Smith & Wesson. It's the most refined. It's suppressor ready. It's just a really well-made firearm. As you would expect, out of all the names you have here, Smith & Wesson is probably going to be closer to the top. The FN is also a premium gun. It's just a little dated, and the ergonomics on it are weird for me. I'm not used to that safety being up there. I don't have any other firearms that use that type of safety. So if I'm using it for a carry gun, that makes it kind of out for me. If it, as a toy or something to own, absolutely super cool. You got the Ruger, you have the PSA. They are what they are. They work fine. They're good guns. No problems there. If you have one of those, not an issue. And then the Kel-Tec comes out, and at first I'm against it. I didn't understand it. I was, what is going on here? And when it came in the shop, I really didn't understand it some more, but I was starting to come around. Now that I've actually sat with them all next to each other, I kind of get what they're going for. And I think, I could be wrong, but I think it's just a carry gun. It's got 20 rounds in the magazine, so do I need a detachable magazine? Probably not. If I'm carrying a Glock 43X, I've got 10 rounds. With an extra magazine, I've got 20 with a reload, right? Here you got 20 rounds on tap in the gun. I don't really foresee in a defensive situation having to expend all of those rounds. And that's what it's made for. It's super lightweight, much lighter than any of the other ones. And as long as it works fine, which I don't know, I've not shot one, but as long as they work fine, it's pretty cool. There's like no controls on the firearm whatsoever. It's literally a trigger and a slide stop, and that's it. And, you know, if they could get rid of the slide stop, they probably would, but with it being stripper clips, you need it to have lock open in order to load the firearm. I guess I should go over that. Some people, especially nowadays, probably don't even know what that means. So let me go grab a stripper clip and show you how that would work. All right, so I went ahead and loaded up a clip here for you to show you how it works. And while I was on the subject, I figured I would address something. This is kind of known as the baby AR-15 bullet, or baby 223. And I see where the name kind of comes from. It looks similar, but they have nothing to do with each other. This is nowhere near the power of a 223 or 5.56. They're different cartridges entirely. The only similarity is the fact that it's a necked cartridge. And that's the most common necked cartridge, but there are tons of... that would be like saying 30-06 is the big 223. They're just different cartridges. But anyway, you've got the 5.7 here, and the way that a stripper clip works is on most firearms, you would have a magazine release here or on the heel, somewhere for something to come out the bottom in order to put a fresh magazine in. It's not the way these firearms work. It's kind of an old design, and this is probably the first gun to be designed with a stripper clip, probably since the Grendel only didn't have a stripper clip. But anyway, it's the first, you know, gun to be designed with a stripper clip in a long time. But the way it would work is the slide would lock open. Your magazine is inside here. So you would take this, put it in the correct orientation. It's going to lock into the firearm. You have a spot in the front and a spot in the back where the stripper clip locks in. And then you would depress this button all the way down. And I don't know if I can do this through the viewfinder. There it goes. Relatively easy. That's probably one of the easiest stripper clips I've ever used. And now the firearm is charged. I would remove this out of the equation, and then if I hit the slide lock down, it's going to chamber a cartridge. So now we want to unload our gun. How would we do that? Well, this is a disadvantage. You can either pop the bottom out here by removing this pin, and the spring follower and all the cartridges will come out. You can't just take the magazine out and then unload your gun. You would have to work this action 10 times in this case. It holds 20 cartridges, but each stripper clip holds 10. It comes with 2. But if you have it fully loaded 20 times, currently I'll have to do it 10 times in order to unload the firearm. That is a disadvantage. So, you know, if you want to take your gun out and dry fire or whatever, you have to go through that process. That's going to be the major disadvantage as far as I'm concerned to this system. The fact that you don't get to do a fast reload, it's not really a concern for me, but that is something that I would need to be taken into consideration. Not a huge deal, but it is something to think about. Other than that, I think it's a cool little pistol. I'm going to go ahead and unload this safely while I'm up here in the gunsmith shop, and I will show you one more thing about it that's kind of unique. So I took the base plate off so that I didn't have to chamber it a bunch while in the shop here, unloaded it. And while doing that, thought of another thing to consider that I didn't think of when I was first filming. If you were to have a malfunction, a double feed or something of that nature, the training that most people go through are take the magazine out, rack the slide. You can't take your magazine out. So when you go to rack the slide, you still have to deal with all the cartridges that are going to be in the magazine. Something else to consider as well. Now, the takedown of this gun is quite unique. There are, like I said, no controls on it, right? No controls on the firearm other than the slide release and the trigger. No typical pull down latches to take it apart. Trigger guard is fixed, it's a polymer gun. So how would you take it apart? Well, you just push forward on the trigger and the gun comes apart. It's pretty simple, pretty easy. While we're here, I guess we can go ahead and have a look. It has a double recoil spring captured, fortunately, because that would be a mess. And then you have this rotating barrel. Here's your lock. Your block that will actually, this cam will cam inside of this to rotate the barrel to unlock it. That's actually a pretty neat design. But that's the Kel-Tec in a nutshell. I've yet to shoot one. I've only ever shot the FN57, and that was pretty infrequent. But they're priced right, man. They're around like 400, 450 bucks, which I think for what it is, man, is pretty cool. I think that's a pretty neat firearm. It's certainly unique. If you want something unique, you know, Kel-Tec always does that. They do think outside the box. Say what you want about them, but they, you know, they do innovate. They do things differently than everybody else. I'm gonna go ahead and get this slapped together. I appreciate you guys watching the video. If you have any questions, call me here at the shop, Kevin, 770-968-4949. Go to our website, mosspondandguns.com. You can go on there and, you know, take a look and see what we got, or come in the shop. We actually had 2 of these, already sold 1. That's why I was kind of rushed to do this video so we get this back on the floor and sell it. We do have more coming. They're on the way. This is just the first little shipment we got. So we should have one of these in stock. I think it's certainly worth looking at, and at the very least, you'll definitely have something unique. We appreciate it. Thank you. I'm tired. I'm a worthless. I mean, didn't do anything, got tired.
Yeah, wore out.